COCO GAUFF's secret love revealed. The shocking new tennis romance everyone's talking about. The headline exploded across every sports outlet in the world. Champion's secret love revealed. The hidden romance behind the Grand Slam Queen's rise. By noon, it was everywhere. On television screens in hotel lobbies, on cafe newspapers, on social media feeds that buzzed like electric storms. And at the center of it all was Corinne "Coco" Grant, the youngest Grand Slam winner in a decade, a 20-year-old with forehand like lightning and eyes that had 1,000 untold stories. The tennis world called her unstoppable. But now, everyone wanted to know what, or who, had stopped her heart. Stardust and silence. Tokyo, late summer. Coco stood at the window of her high-rise hotel, watching neon lights reflect against the rainy glass. Her racket bag leaned in the corner, unopened. The Japan Women's Open would begin in 2 days. She should have been focused on practice. But her phone buzzed again. Another message. We shouldn't meet tonight. Too much noise already. Her chest tightened. She typed back, then deleted the words before hitting send. Outside, the rain whispered against the glass like the world's softest applause, mocking maybe, or reminding her that she wasn't just an athlete anymore. She was a story, a symbol, a target. In the distance, Tokyo shimmered. Inside her room, Coco Grant's secret life trembled on the edge of exposure. The hidden connection. They'd met the way unlikely stories begin, by accident. 6 months earlier, at the Madrid Open, Coco had ducked into a quiet media lounge between matches, escaping the noise of reporters. There, she found Evan Ross, a freelance sports photographer new to the circuit. He wasn't the kind who shouted questions or clicked for gossip. He was patient, silent, always watching court like it was a living poem. When he first spoke to her, his voice was low, careful. "Do you ever feel like the noise drowns out the game?" She laughed. All the time. From that moment, something unspoken began to build between them. A quiet friendship born in stolen moments. Long walks after practice. Shared coffee at 6 a.m. before sunrise training. To the world, she was Coco Grant, the icon. To Evan, she was just a girl who loved tennis and hated small talk. He never asked for selfies. Never crossed lines. But one night in Rome, under the orange glow of the Foro Italico, they kissed. And it felt like freedom. The price of perfection. By the time the tour reached Paris, the whispers had begun. A photo, blurry but damning, surfaced online. It showed Coco walking through a quiet Parisian street, hand in hand with someone unidentified. No faces, just silhouettes. Her management team panicked. "We can't afford distraction," her agent warned. "Sponsors expect control. You're a brand now." She wanted to scream. She wasn't a brand. She was a person. But the more she tried to keep her private life private, the louder the speculation grew. Every press conference included that question. Every glance from a rival felt sharper. And through it all, Evan remained in the shadows, watching matches from far corners of the stadium, never once sitting in her player box. He understood the cost of being seen with her. Yet the secrecy began to feel heavier than love itself. The win that changed everything. The U.S. Open final should have been her happiest day. She'd beaten the world #1 in straight sets. The stadium erupted as she fell to her knees, sobbing into her towel. Commentators called it a changing of the guard. But that night, when she went back to her hotel suite, the silence was unbearable. Evan was waiting there, holding a small red box. Inside was a thin silver bracelet engraved with the words, "For the girl who fights the world." She smiled through tears and whispered, "You shouldn't have come. They'll find out." He kissed her forehead. "I don't care if they do." But he was wrong. Someone had already seen him leave the building at dawn. The leak. 2 weeks later, the story broke. A tabloid from London posted an exclusive. Photos of Coco and Evan together in Madrid, Rome, and New York. None were scandalous, just soft, human moments, laughing, holding hands, whispering in hotel corridors. But in the merciless theater of celebrity, even tenderness becomes weaponized. Within hours, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Coco Grant Love Scandal, hashtag Hidden Match. Her sponsors released statements of understanding. Her management team went into lockdown. Tennis analysts debated whether personal distraction would hurt her next season. Coco watched it unfold from her couch, numb. Evan called, his voice shaking. Say the word and I'll disappear. But she didn't want him to. She just didn't know how to save both her love and her career. The press conference. 3 days before the Japan Women's Open, Coco faced the cameras. She wore white, symbolic, calm, deliberate. Her team had scripted everything. I appreciate everyone's concern. I'm focusing on my tennis. I asked for privacy. But when she looked at the reporters, she saw something shift in herself. She was tired of silence. I'm not ashamed of who I spend time with, she said slowly. I'm proud of the people who care about me, who remind me I'm more than a headline. I play tennis because I love it, not because I owe the world my every heartbeat. Flashbulbs exploded. The room buzzed. The aftermath. The following morning, newspapers in Tokyo printed the next twist. Evan had boarded a flight to London hours after her loss. The headline read, Grant's mystery man flees Japan amid scandal. She shut herself in her hotel room, turning off her phone, her TV, everything. The silence hurt more than the noise. For the first time since she was 10, she skipped a practice session. Her coach knocked on the door, gently pleading, Coco, the world doesn't end here. But in her heart, something had. She realized fame wasn't the enemy. Fear was. Fear of being misunderstood, of being human in a world that demands perfection. And maybe love in her world wasn't meant to survive the spotlight. The letter. 2 weeks later, back in Florida, a small envelope arrived at her doorstep. No return address, just her name in neat handwriting. Inside was a letter. You once said tennis was your first love. Don't let me become the reason you fall out of love with it. I'll be watching from the shadows, cheering every point. Some stories aren't meant to be photographed. They're meant to be lived quietly. Yar. Tears blurred the ink. She folded the letter carefully and slipped it into her racket bag, right next to the bracelet he'd given her. Then she picked up her racket and walked outside into the Florida sun. The courts waited. So did her destiny. Epilogue. The return. A year later, at the Australian Open, Coco Grant stood on the baseline again, her name echoing through Rod Laver Arena. She had fought through heartbreak, through gossip, through loneliness, and had rediscovered her game. Stronger, sharper, wiser. When she lifted her eyes to the stands, she saw thousands of faces. None of them were his. But she smiled anyway, because she understood something now. Love doesn't disappear when it ends. It lingers in memory and lessons in every fearless step forward. As she served from match point, her bracelet glinted under the lights for the girl who fights the world. And with that serve, pure, fast, unflinching, she began her new chapter. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share. Till next time.